Hello friends, I'm Brian Shercliffe with Vitality Cincinnati, and it's a pleasure to be with you here today to share some ideas of Dr. Wayne Bengston. And I'm grateful to the friend who shared with me some of Dr. Bengston's ideas I think it was about 10 years ago, almost exactly 10 years ago. And I was intrigued, so intrigued that I listened to his CD set and eventually read his book. And then when I saw a workshop advertised in New York, when I was going to be in New York, I attended the workshop and so intrigued and curious about what was happening that I eventually invited Dr. Bengston to come to Cincinnati to offer a workshop at Bethesda North Hospital almost exactly 2 years ago. And if you don't know about his ideas, Dr. Wayne Bengston has been curing cancer not only with humans and animals, but also in laboratory experiments at medical schools. So these are rather intriguing experiments, and you can find out more at his website, it's called bengstonresearch.com. And you'll see right at the top, it's a very different way of talking about healing, information-based. So what is that information? So I asked Dr. Bengston if he would give me permission to offer just a short tutorial, especially these days of the coronavirus, to invite people to something to do and to see if some of these ideas might be helpful. And his response was, make it a good one, so I'm going to give it my best. And there are 4 steps that I'll invite us to begin to engage this process. And the first step, and you might want to pause this video every now and then, maybe you even pause it right now to get yourself a piece of paper and a pen and something on which to write. And first step is to think about what it is that you want and to create a list of things, experiences that you want. Not that you want for the world, but what you want personally. And as Dr. Bengston says, kind of in a selfish way. Be selfish here for a few moments. So I invite you to take a little time to make your list and make sure they're very specific things that you want. Some maybe that might happen sooner, some that it might be far down the road. It's up to you. And if you have trouble coming up with 20, it's okay. Start with at least 2 and see if you can come up to 20. And then take a moment just to pause and pause this video and make your list. And then the second step is to marinate in this list. And even before you do that, maybe you go through your list for just a second and notice, ask yourself, are these things that you really, really want for yourself? They could be anything, totally up to you. But they can't be like, oh, I want to stay healthy. No, it's something that you want down the road that you do not have now. And that's a key point. And if you kind of look down your list and go, I'm not sure I really want that, then take it off the list. Put something else there. But once you feel confident in this list and maybe even begin to, as Dr. Bengston says, kick some of these ideas down the road a little further. So for instance, I'd like to write a book that becomes very helpful to helping people find their home in the world. So I wouldn't picture myself writing the book. I wouldn't picture myself sending off the book to the editor. I'd kick the image down the road as far as I can. Perhaps maybe having a special party with friends where we toast the fact that the book has sold 20 million copies or whatever it is for you. So something further down the road, the better. So once you have that list, and step 2 is just to be with that list for a while. I call it marinating. Stop and just pause with the first item on your list, and what can you feel? What can you see? Picture the thing happening way down the road, the kind of the full culmination of what it is that you're hoping will happen in your own life. Maybe you're someone who sees images. Great. Maybe you're someone that is more auditory, can kind of hear the sounds of people's voices as you celebrate these accomplishments or these events or these things that you'd like. Or maybe you would like to just kind of feel into that experience. Take some time with each image, with each item on your list, and see what happens for you. Really just marinate in it. And that can take a little while, so I invite you to pause this video and take some time just to be with each item on your list. And then eventually, as you feel ready, step 3, to cycle these items, to move them quickly through your imagination. And Dr. Bengston likes to use a drum quite often. And perhaps as you look at your list and you've marinated with it for a while, maybe even for a few days, you eventually begin to, each time you hear a little tap of this drum, would be an image. So one of the items on your list. So be with the first item. And be with the second item. And obviously you don't have as much time to marinate in each one. It eventually gets faster. So each tap being one item on your list. So you move to the next one. You move to the next one. You move to the next one. Each tap, you move to the next one. And once you complete your list, you start back at the beginning. And then eventually, this might be a nice speed to start with, but eventually you want to speed it up. In fact, that you can no longer control it. And maybe that doesn't happen the first time that you sit and cycle, as Dr. Bengston calls it. But it gets easier the more and more we play with it. And I even avoid the word practice there, you might notice. And the key thing is to play. And so some people use all kinds of different gimmicks, different techniques to let these images move more quickly. Some people kind of imagine a merry-go-round, and each car or each seat on the merry-go-round is one of the items on their list, and you start off slowly, and then eventually the merry-go-round goes very quickly, and it's almost like a blur. Every now and then, maybe there's some image or some item on your list that becomes more prominent than another, and other times it's just a blur. Some people imagine, like if you live in a city that has like a subway or something, and you're standing safely on the platform, and the subway, it doesn't stop at this stop, but it just kind of zips by, and each car being one of the items on your list. Or maybe there's some other gimmick that you come up with that helps you to begin to allow these images, these items on your list to move much more quickly to the point where you can no longer control the speed. It just kind of boom, happens. And maybe that happens with you the first time you cycle, or maybe you play with it for a few days. Maybe you play with it by sitting as part of your meditation, or maybe you play with it in the midst of just kind of dancing around your house or on a walk or whatever. But the key thing is let it be playful. Do something different maybe every day. Use a different gimmick, or even every couple days, until you can kind of begin to move so fast that you are no longer in control. Something animates this list of desires that you have for life. Which leads to the step 4. And maybe the most important is to start fresh each day or maybe every other day and take the list that you had yesterday and toss it out and begin to write again the things that you want in your life, these experiences that you want in your life. And again, they could be concrete. It could be the new car that you want. So you put that car on the list and you picture yourself, visualize or feel or listen for the sounds of yourself driving that car, cruising at this beautiful speed on a beautiful day. Maybe there are people in the car with you, maybe you're by yourself or with your pet or whatever, and you just begin to enjoy that process of whatever it is that you'd like. And when you make your list, if you've received something on the list, something has come to you and you no longer want that thing on the list, then you must cross it off. And that wouldn't be on your list anymore. So the importance of keeping your list fresh each day with just things that you want in the future. And just see what begins to happen. And this is the part that I find most intriguing. What happens as you cycle, as you spin these items through your imagination and through your life? What do you begin to feel within yourself? And that is the interesting thing that might be helpful for our world today. And that's where Dr. Bengston would say, once you kind of feel the quickness of these items that you want on your list, on your own selfish personal list, once you feel comfortable with that list, or maybe uncomfortable with that list, maybe somebody asks you for your prayerful or meditative attention or good vibes or whatever it is. And so with their permission, that's the key thing, you add that person to your list and perhaps just visualize or that person being well and see what begins to happen. But only if they've given you permission for something that they want, especially if most of your list is things that you want, experiences that you want. Again, being selfish in this way might be something that begins to help the world. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. And of course, the most important resources are bengstonresearch.com and the wonderful CD set that he has, Dr. Bengston has, and the wonderful book that he wrote that tells more of his story about his research and his ideas. And that book is called The Energy Cure. It's a title he willingly says he doesn't like the title very much because he thinks it's information-based healing. What is that information that begins to happen within you and within me as we play with this very interesting idea of creating our list, marinating in each item, cycling through that list in your own creative, playful way? Maybe you dance it. Maybe your dance is different every day, even better. And then starting fresh each day. We invite you to, many of us are gathering around the world, around the world at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Could be 4 p.m. your own standard time, just to play with these ideas in our own way, not with looking at each other, not through any Zoom meeting, not through any special meetup, just kind of in our own time, our own way, cycling. And the interesting thing too is if you can't make 4 o'clock or you're in a different time zone, then just kind of invite that information that happens as you cycle to be propelled into that 4 p.m. time slot, and just see what happens. It's pretty interesting when we gather, and what a time in our world right now to gather together and welcome something new.